Okay, so thank you so much for joining us once again for our knowledge sharing. This is the day number 6 in the Inner Being course, K36 in English. Okay, so we have done um, 5 episodes so far. This time, in this season, I've made it a point to translate line by line the original knowledge sharing that was done by our master, um, with the intention of helping those who are studying this material as a mentor to be able to imprint. So you can listen to my interpretation and copy it. Okay, that's the idea of imprinting. That is the fastest way of receiving knowledge and gaining any skill is to copy from the master. Okay, some of you may have already imprinted the Vietnamese version. If you are interested in imprinting the English version, that is what we're doing here. Before we begin, I want to welcome Chị Vân. Is there any lesson from previous week's sharing or anything that you would like to share? Any lesson, impression, or realization that you would like to share before we jump into today's lesson? Jivan?
Yes, I I know the inner truth. The last session I know I understand well the inner truth. What we hear, the will. Sorry, the will we hear, the will we speak, or the will we talk, the will we hear, the will we see, the will we talk, and the will we know. Is it the inner truth? It means the inner truth is something that does not change over space and time. Yes.
Great. Okay, great. So that is a lesson that you've learned. Hello to An Chang. Thanks for joining us today.
Dạ, chào thầy, chào cả nhà.
Okay.
Yeah. Con Jan.
Okay. So without further ado, let us jump into today's lesson. So I'm going to turn on the recording and then we're going to go line by line. Okay. All right.
Dạ, em chào thầy Frank.
Hello.
Để
Hello.
thầy ơi, mấy cái buổi Zoom này của thầy nhớ livestream lại nha.
I recorded and I put it on my YouTube channel. Yeah, so it's recorded and it's on the YouTube channel. Last week's
Dạ,
recording was broken, so if I have time to redo it, I'll do it. Otherwise, I'll put it in the app that I'm working on. Everything will be available in the app that I'm gonna be working on. Okay.
dạ, có gì thầy cho em xin cái link sau mỗi buổi á để em có cả nhà có thuận duyên cả nhà có thể xem lại á thầy.
Do you have the link to my YouTube channel?
No.
Okay, let me type the YouTube channel on the chat box. Okay, youtube.com/@ House of Holistic Health. Okay, I think. Oh, how come it didn't work? How about
Dạ, ok.
HTTP? Try that. Let's try that. See if this one works. There you go. There's a link, and that should work. There you go. Okay, so that works. Okay. Alrighty. Thank you so much for joining us. Alrighty. And are you? Do you have the link to my Telegram group? I just post.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, alrighty. So let's jump into today's lesson, which is day number 6 in the Inner Being course, as taught by our master in K36. Okay, here we go. So today is a very important learning session so that we can understand human nature. Last time we studied about our being, and you had an important concept that is the inner emptiness. We had a agreement that whenever a message excuse me, we have an agreement, consensus, that, hang on for a second, I don't know why my throat just got okay. So we had an agreement, a consensus on terminology. Whenever whenever we receive a message, if we use our emotion, then we use our emotion to respond. If we use our human nature, then we use our human nature also, or the mind, to analyze and differentiate. If we use our being, then we will use our being to welcomely receive. Okay? And if we can proactively choose and select and be responsible for all the choices that we have made within our inner being, then you can essentially become the owner or the master of your inner being. And if we can enrich our mentality, then that means when a message come to us, then we use our being to welcomely receive it. Okay? And the master is checking for the volume. And so when you use our mind or our human nature, then we differentiate or analyze, then we apply the nature of tolerance in order to analyze and differentiate. At the level of our emotion, then we use the emotion of honoring gratitude. And so those are a consensus with respect to the concept that we have together. We're checking for audio in the recording. Okay, so with the human energetic structure that we have drawn yesterday, we drew it yesterday. Okay. If you remember, today we're going to go in a little bit of the detail with in terms of the human nature. Okay. First, the master is talking about the translation of the Chinese origin of the word, and then you have to explain it in the Vietnamese. But here, for the sake of the understanding of the English speaker, we're going to try to go straight from the original Sino-Vietnamese straight to the English understanding of it. Okay, so we're not going to spend too much trying to explain the Chinese and then the Vietnamese version. We're just going to go straight to English. But before any of that, we need to come to a understanding and familiarize yourself with this concept. It is the concept of inner state. Okay? Our inner state, it relates to how we receive a message. Whether we receive it with the being, or if we receive it with our mind, or if we receive it with our emotion. That state will determine our mentality. If a person who is used to receiving a message with their being, or another way, they use the inner truth in order to receive a message, then the inner state, they will have an inner state that is what? It is an inner state that is balanced. Okay, balanced. It is an inner state that is balanced. And if we receive the message and we don't use our being, we don't have the awareness to receive it with the truth within us, and immediately the mind and the emotion has already jumped in, then that message, when it gets transmitted to us, it affects us, it impacts on us. Then we can react negatively or respond negatively. Okay? So there is a direction of our response to the message. It could be negative, or we can respond to it or react to it positively. This is negative. Or we could respond to it positively. And so our inner state, there are 3 states when we encounter any message. Why there are these inner states, we will discover later, and a little bit later. Okay? But we need to have a consensus with respect to the concept that our inner state, there is an inner state that is balanced, there is a state that is negative, and there is an inner state that is positively oriented. If yesterday, if you listened in the previous episode, do we not know that deep within us there is the truth within us? There is an inner truth, which is the will to hear, the will to see, the will to talk, and the will to know. When a message comes to us, for example, when we are hearing or seeing, when we see, it is the will to see that will see first. And then after that, the mind and the emotion will jump in. And so when the mind and the emotion jump in, it will fall into one of 2 states. It could fall into the negative state, or it could fall into a positive state. But before that, when we receive a message, we always begin to receive a message with the balanced state. When we first receive a message, it is always balanced first. We need to have this awareness that is very definite, that whenever a message that comes to us, we always begin by receiving that message in a state that is balanced. After that, the mind and the emotion jumps in, and then it will turn negative or positive depending on our human nature. We'll understand that in a little bit. Can we agree to this consensus of concept? If we study in the previous episode, then you will get it. If you did not study yesterday or last week's episode, then you can go back to the video and listen to it or watch it later. So that we need to agree so that in the upcoming day, this is going to be a journey or a roadmap of elevating our awareness. So we're going to share this idea again. For example, if I hold up this thing, this pen, is it not the will to see that will see this first? It is the true seeing, it is the will to see or the true seeing that will see this first. And at that moment, our inner being is already balanced. Did you get that? At the moment when we first see this with our truth, then we are already begun by a state of balance. And so our inner being, we are always have this state of balance. Can you recognize that? Can we agree that our inner being always begin with balance? But somehow, many people, they don't have peace within their inner being, where our inner being is always balanced. In this life, the balance is the foundation of everything else. And so, whether it goes up or down, then eventually the negativity or positive will balance out. And so we have an advantage when we have an awareness about our inner being, that we always see, we are already always hear and see and talk and know. That will to hear, the will to see, the will to know, and the will to talk, it always begins with balance. And then after that, the nature, the human nature jumps in. We start to analyze and differentiate. Our emotion jumps in. And then after that, through the layers of our human emotion, through our imagination and desire, that will decide negativity or positivity. Can we have this awareness? After that, we will go positive or negative, but we always begin with balance. Okay, can we get that? Some people use the word neutrality or neutral. The word neutral has a much broader concept. It means we're not creating good merit, or we're not creating bad merit, but we're creating balanced merit. When you understand blessing and merit, then you will understand it more deeply. Okay. Here we're talking about the inner state, which is different than the neutrality of the religious term. When it comes to inner state, where does our inner state of negativity and negative and positive state come from? When we understand that, we will understand human nature a little bit more deeply. Okay, so when it comes to human nature, there are some terminology. First, we are going to explore the word reception. This is the Vietnamese. The master is explaining the Chinese Vietnamese version, but for English speaker, all we have to know for now is the concept of reception. Okay, reception, to receive, to bring in. It is an input. Reception, or to receive, or to take in. Okay. Reception is to receive, to take in. It is the input part of our human nature. Receive or reception. Okay. As a human being, we have the nature of imagination. With imagination, we have a certain experience of life. Whenever we experience or think about an experience that is in the past, when we are imagining the past, we call it remembering. Right? At this moment, we are imagining things. When we are imagining things, we simply say that we are imagining. Or if we imagine the future, we call that projection. We are projecting something in the future. And so with imagination, we can divide it into three categories. Simply to, when we imagine our past experience, we call it remembering. To imagine the thing that we have already experienced, we call that remembering. Everything that we are imagining right now, we call that imagination, or imagining. Anything that we imagine that is going to be an experience in the future, we call that projection. Okay, in terms of the time that we understand nowadays, it is the past, present, and the future, and so that is how we are going to understand imagination. Okay, the nature of imagination, a human nature of imagination, remembering, imagining, and projecting. The next nature we're going to explore is expression. Expression has different meaning. When we express, we can express ourselves in words, right? We can express ourselves in action, okay? But at its fundamental level, expression is to it's an output, okay? To bring outward, to express ourselves. We can express ourselves in words, our talking, okay? We can express ourselves in deeds and action, okay, and behavior. The next human nature, it has to do with our cognition. Cognition can have a wide meaning, but to simplify it, we're talking about consciousness. We're talking about knowledge. Okay, conscious knowledge. Okay, we'll get to the details of the nature of the human nature of cognition. Next, we have a nature of wealth. The wealth here has two meaning. Wealth of finances, wealth of resources, okay, money. We also have the wealth of talent. Okay, wealth is something that you can possess, that resource that we can use it. So wealth can be money wealth as well as talent wealth. Wealth of money, wealth of talent. Next is the nature of form. I think the word that we use is form. Okay. The master is making a word on the word play. He's playing with the the Vietnamese word of the wealth. We have major wealth and we have minor wealth. Major wealth are the finances. Sorry, major wealth are the finances, the money. The minor wealth are the talent. And so people use their minor wealth, which is their talent, in order to make the major wealth, which is the finances and the money. And once you have money, you use the major wealth, which is the money, to buy the minor health, which is new skills, new competency. Okay. So do we not use our minor wealth, which is our talent and our skills, in order to trade for major wealth, which is money? And then once you have money, you use the money to buy more skills and competencies. Okay. So it is a play on word because the master is talking doing a word play in the Vietnamese. So I'm interpreting it for the word play. Tài chính and tài phụ in Vietnamese is not appropriate in the English. Okay. But at least you can have an understanding that people use the wealth of money to buy the wealth of skills and competency. And when you have skills and competency, it is a form of wealth. You use that skill and competency to acquire wealth of money. Okay, and if you use our wealth of money to create value for other people, okay, in entire lifetime, money and wealth, okay, wealth and money in entire human life, we're always using our skills and competency to trade for money, and then we always use the wealth of money to acquire more competency and skills. A person's identity and their wealth is something that human beings are very attached to. Okay, we get this, we understand this, right? It is our wealth and our sense of identity, something that human being we are so attached to. Next is the form. Okay, form it is the physical form. Physical form. Our physical appearance, it is a form. Okay? Human being, we have this nature of form or appearance. You can think of it as appearance. It is our physical form as well as the form of the way things should be arranged. Okay? Our physical appearance is a form, but the way things are arranged is also a form. Our body is a physical form. There is also the form of the way things should be. Okay, the way things should be. If you see somebody wearing a certain article of clothing that you don't feel that they it's a suitable for them, do you feel frustrated? You feel frustrated that a person is wearing some clothes that is not appropriate to them. You get a little frustrated. That is our nature of form. Or if we look at the house and the house is not clean, and so we feel unhappy about it. We have a certain attachment to the way the house should be arranged. Or somebody may give a picture, a painting, and the painting is a little bit blurry or something, and we get a little frustrated. We are attached to form. Some people say a sound, a certain sound, the way music or the voice. Some people listen to our master's voice and they feel frustrated. They don't like his accent. He's got a Westerners, Vietnamese Westerners accent, and they're not. They don't like it. That is another way of attachment to a form. The form, the way the sound is put together. Our master has been able to learn from many experts and masters, and so he's learned some skill, including how to dub a video or an audio. So he knows how to dub it, and he maintain the accent. He consciously choose to maintain the accent of the Vietnamese Westerners. Okay. And that is a way of attachment to form. It shows that he wants to show that everybody, however your accent, your verbal, your vocal accent you have, you can still be an inner being coach. And so when our master speak in front of a public, a lot of people, some people, they advise him to adjust his accent so that it become official sounding. And so our master have chosen not to adjust his accent. The way he expressed himself, the way he expressed his nature of expression, he expressed himself using the accent of the Vietnamese, a Western Vietnamese person. That is a form. The way things are, the way things are constructed, the way things are put together. Okay. He said that each region in a country, they have its own special, unique folk tradition. For example, if you listen to an Australian speak English, they have an Australian accent. It is different than American who speak English, or a British person speaking English. Okay, those are form, the way things are put together. Okay. In Vietnamese, there are the northerners, there are the Hanoi people, there are the southerners. Okay, there are certain accent that is considered official, that everybody agree to having the right form of language. Okay, it is the form. If you speak, our master said that if you speak so well, other people may not be able to copy you. If you want to other people to copy you, if you want to multiply the number of inner being coach, having many people be like you, then make it simple. Speak simply. So our master has intentionally lowered his standard of his form of the sound. Okay, he has brought down his level so that more people will be able to understand and copy. Other people have other attachment to other forms, other ways that things are arranged. There is form of the language, there is form of music, there is a form of food. Some people, when you look at a dish on a table eating, if food are presented really nice, then they will eat. If food are not presented so nicely, then they might not like to eat it. That is the form, okay, the visual form relating to food. Visual appearance. So those are the concepts relating to the nature of form. Okay, there are many types of form. Beautiful or ugly is one way that people can judge form. Standard or not standard are our ways of judging something, whether it is the right form or not. It is our nature of form. Okay, appearance of things and the way things are arranged. That is our form. Next is our identity. Okay, identity. A sense of who we are, our fame, our name. Identity. Our fame and our name. Identity, okay, our name and our fame. Eating, okay, eating. As a human being, it is our nature to eat. Okay, we have the nature of resting. Okay, to sleep, to rest. We have the nature of wanting. Okay, wanting is related to desire. Okay, okay, wanting. Okay, wanting is just wanting. That's it. Okay, we don't try to complicate it. We'll talk about greed later. That is wanting and desire a lot. But wanting is just wanting. Just simplify it from now on when we think about wanting. Human being, we have the nature of wanting. We want something. Okay. Later on, we'll talk about greed, which is a degree and polarity of wanting. We have the nature called temperament. Okay. Let me make sure. We have ignorance. Okay. We have ignorance. Notice we have cognition and we have ignorance. Cognition is a part of our human nature that know things. Become aware, become conscious, know things. Ignorance is another nature of human being. Okay. We have pride. Okay, pride. To be proud. To be proud. We have the nature of inquiry. We have the nature called ethos. And we have a nature called view. Our point of view. The way we see things. It is human nature to have views. Okay? We're just going to understand these nature for now. And then we will familiarize yourself with these basic words. Okay. This is the foundation of understanding human nature. Hello to those of you who said hello and came in afterward. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay. There is a comment from one of the students that says that does hotel and inner and the inns and the hotel and the motel, do they accumulate a lot of good merit because they help satisfy people's nature of resting? And well, the master say that if you are a business person or an entrepreneur and your job is to help people satisfy their human nature of wanting tempering wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting, if you can help people satisfy their wealth, their form, their identity, their eating, and their resting, then that business person will acquire a lot of positive and good merit, and so their life will be pretty good. Okay, basically, when it comes to business satisfy people's wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting, and when you do that, you acquire the good merit, and when you acquire the good merit, your life tend to be pretty good. We'll talk about merits and blessing later. Okay, for now, we're just gonna understand these natures first. Okay. There is a human nature. When it comes to human nature, there is a saying that I want you to memorize. And as I say it, you memorize with me. Okay? Imagination and wanting and imagination. Let's write it. Okay, let's write it like the master is writing. Wanting and imagination. Okay. We're gonna put that together. It's like one word. Wanting and imagination. Okay. Is the focus of human nature. Okay, wanting and imagination is a focus of human nature. Somebody asked why wanting and imagination is a focus of human nature. How would we respond to that? Why is wanting and imagination the focus of human nature? Or wanting and imagination is central to human nature? We can answer that indirectly. We can answer it with a question like this. If a person does not have any wanting and imagination, then is that still a person anymore? Is that still a human being? Right? If a person does not have wanting and imagination, then is that person a human being anymore? Let's okay. When think about it, if a person does no longer have any wanting, no longer imagining anything, then are we still a human being? One time there's a student that asked a master, why is the buffalo and the cow all day long they have to work hard on the field? Their life is so difficult. It's so pitiful. And so that master, who is an enlightened being, enlightened master with respect to human life experience, they say that animal is not, their life is not difficult. It is only your imagination. By their nature, they do not have imagination. Therefore, they do not suffer. Do you get the idea? The animal does not have imagination, so they don't suffer. We are imagining that they are suffering. Like some of us, We see our master wake up in the morning at 3 a.m. and then he's already awake at 3 a.m. And so he will interact with people and then eat some breakfast, get some rest, and then after eating breakfast, he goes on to the classroom, and then the classroom ends at around 6 or so, and then another class begins at 7 or 8, and then another class around 11:30, and then there's 2 p.m. there's class, and then there's a 7 p.m. there's a class, and then there's a 10:30 p.m. there's another class. So many people, what do they say? If you look that, life is difficult for our master. If you have your imagination, then you can imagine life is difficult for our master. Do you see him suffering? But fortunate for our master, he has a special awareness that his life and his health has got a lot of improvement over the years. We'll talk more about that later with respect to the special awareness about health, awareness about time, and then we'll talk more deeply later. And so, in the upcoming day, we will interact, and everything we're doing here, we see somebody who's poor, and so we think they are suffering, and they imagine that they are suffering. But some people look at rich people, and we imagine that they are suffering. Do you get the point? Has anybody here seen a rich person and you feel pity for that rich person? And then there are people who see somebody really poor and we feel they are suffering. We see they are suffering and they have to work hard. We feel bad for them. Some people work all day long to make money and they don't have time to spend the money, and you say, oh, we have pity on them. Oh, that's a form of suffering. And so, all of that thing, where does that come from? What gives rise to all of those feelings? What gives rise to that? It is come from our imagination. And so, if you are a human being, then wanting and imagination is the focus. So, wanting and imagination is the focus of human nature. That is the main idea. Next, okay? Because of wanting and, I'm just going to shorten the word and, in imagination, because of wanting an imagination about wealth, comma, wanting an imagination about form, okay, wanting and imagination about identity, okay, now repeat that again, wanting and imagination about eating and wanting and imagination about resting, okay. In other words, because of wanting and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, resting, in other words, because of wanting and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, resting, that determine the intensity and degree of temperament, okay, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, and view, okay, which which determine what is received, okay, this is a reception, how to express, right, our nature of expression, and the process by which cognition formed. Okay, long one. Wanting and imagination is the focus of human nature. Because of wanting and imagination about wealth, wanting and imagination about form, wanting and imagination about identity, wanting and imagination about eating, wanting and imagination about resting, in other words, because of wanting and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting, that determines the intensity and degree of temperament, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, views, which then determine what is received, how to express, and the process by which cognition is formed. Okay? Okay? Wanting and imagination is the focus of human nature. Because of wanting and imagination about wealth, wanting and imagination about form, wanting and imagination about identity, wanting imagination about eating, wanting imagination about resting. In other words, because of wanting and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting, that determines the intensity and degree of temperament, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, view, which determine what is received, how to express, and the process by which cognition is formed. Okay? Okay? How to, what is received, you can put a, okay? How to express, and the process by which cognition is formed. Okay? So we can sort of memorize this, kind of read it. If you read it a few times, you will understand the human nature. Wanting and imagination is the focus of human nature. Because of wanting an imagination about wealth, wanting imagination about form, wanting imagination about identity, wanting an imagination about eating, wanting an imagination about resting. In other words, because of wanting an imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting. That determines the intensity and degree of temperament, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, views, which then determine what is received, how to express, and the process by which cognition is formed. Okay? So next, we're going to explore the the oscillation.
Teacher, sorry, teacher. May I see the slide, the last slide?
You still trying to
you.
copy it?
I want to copy that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does anybody want to practice reading it? Anybody finished?
Yeah.
If you finish reading, if you finish writing it, you can practice reading. Over here, there's a missing because of wanting an imagination about wealth. Okay, about. Okay. Okay, about wealth. Anybody want to read it? You want to try reading it so you can get the form?
Yeah, wait a moment, please. Let me finish. Yes. I have a question.
Yes.
About the nature of inquiry.
Yeah.
Inquiry, it's mean like
nghi đó, tánh nghi đó. Inquiry, to ask, to wonder, to want to know why.
To wonder, yeah.
Inquiry.
But
inquiry, nghi vấn đó.
Nghi vấn. Đây có phải nghi vấn hay là cái nghi ngờ? Nghi vấn hay nghi ngờ?
We're not talking about nghi ngờ. Nghi ngờ is, we'll talk about nghi ngờ in a little bit. That is a negative form of inquiry. Okay,
That is the
yeah.
negative form of
So we'll talk about positive and
right.
negative later. Right now,
Yeah,
everything here is neutral. All of this nature is neutral. We have chosen the English word inquiry because it is neutral. It is not positive or negative. Next, we're going to
yeah.
talk about the positive and negative polarity. Okay?
À, vậy là tánh nghi ở đây có nghĩa là nghi vấn chứ đúng không thầy? Là
Yeah.
tánh nghi vấn hả?
So
Ủa?
some of it,
Ý
it's,
là
I know,
chữ
yeah.
nghi ở đây có nghĩa là
Some,
nghi vấn.
right. So some of the vocabulary that came from the Chinese Vietnamese origin cannot be directly
Yeah,
translated to English.
yeah,
It is not appropriate.
yeah,
So we
yeah,
have to find an English word that is appropriate. Okay?
yeah.
Yeah. For example, the word sun. Okay? Sun. If you translate it directly from Chinese, it means angry. But temperament is the most appropriate one because there is no polarity. There's no positive and negative polarity to temperament. Okay. Um, yeah. So we'll try to find a neutral word to to represent the human nature. And then next we're going to talk about how that human nature oscillate between positive and negative. Okay? So before we move on, anybody want to practice reading? Just go ahead and read it so you can you can hear it in your mind. Go ahead and read it for me, Chitu.
Yeah. Wanting and imagination is the focus of human nature. Because of wanting and imagination about wealth, wanting imagination about form, wanting and imagination about identity, wanting and imagination about eating, wanting and imagination about resting. In other words, because of wanting and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, resting, that determine the intensity and degree of temperament, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, view, which determines what is received, how to express, and the process by which cognition is formed. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Okay. Determine. Okay. The word is determined.
Determined.
Yeah. Even though it's
Determined.
M-I-N-E, the
Determined.
way we pronounce it is determined. Okay.
Determined.
Alrighty. Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Okay. So let's move on. See what the master has to say. Okay. So we're going to use this line, okay, as the foundation. Down here is negativity. Up here is positivity. First, we're going to explore the nature of wanting. This is nature of. When we say nature here, we mean human nature. Okay, nature of wanting. Okay, nature of wanting. Nature of wanting. Okay, we'll begin with the nature of wanting. Earlier, when we talking about wanting, that's just wanting. Okay, desire. Okay, wanting and desire. If a person just want wealth and form, if a person want wealth and form and identity and eating and resting only for themselves, and they don't want for anybody else, then at that point the nature of wanting, it will go down to negative. That is when the nature of wanting will become negative. And when it becomes negative, it is called greed. Greed is only wanting for yourself. Okay? Greed is wanting for yourself. And then you want, it goes up a little bit. You go up a little, you want for yourself, but you want for more people. You want for yourself and you want for other people. And at the middle, you have this balance between wanting for yourself and wanting for other people. And it go up to more where you have wanting more for people, you want more for people, and at its extreme positive, we call that generosity. Okay? So when we want for other people, it is called generosity. As a human nature, if we want greed, if we only want for ourselves, then we become very greedy. This is how we understand human nature. At some time, we know that we only want something. We only want wealth and form and identity and eating and resting, but only for ourselves. Only for ourselves. We want wealth, form, identity, eating, resting, only for ourselves. Okay? But then there are times in other time in our life we want form, we want wealth, identity, eating, and resting, but only one for ourselves. Only for ourselves. Then yeah, there are times in our life, right? But greed is not necessarily a bad thing, and generosity is not necessarily a good thing either. Somebody say, you're so selfish. It's not selfish. There are times when you are so hungry and starving. When you're so starving, all you want and imagine is eating. Right? All you want and imagine is food and to eat. Has anybody here experienced you being so hungry that you only want and you only imagine food? If we can just satisfy the eating, then we'll deal with everything else later. Then is that selfishness? But if you maintain that nature of wanting only for yourself, that wanting for yourself over an extended period of time, then what? Then what's going to happen? Hmm? What do you think? If we always want for ourselves, always want to eat the best thing, we don't care about other people, then is it that wanting, when it extends over time, it becomes greedy? Then that person, that wanting, always wanting to eat, and they only want it for themselves, they don't think about other people, they even fight for the food, then that person becomes greedy. Greed is created when wanting becomes extreme negative. But there are times we only wanting for yourself. That is, when you want for yourself, we just know that there is a direction. If we know that, then don't let it extend for a long period of time. We can pull it up. Right? Do you get the idea? Um, there is a statement from chị Kim Anh Trần for a bilingual song ngữ. No, this is an English Zoom. Okay, if you would like to join the bilingual song ngữ đó, then every other day, I think Master and Trang, I think also at the same time, I think the same Zoom, every other day, it will be done in Vietnamese and in English. Okay. Thank you for asking, but this is an English only Zoom. Okay, so for those of you who are ready for the all English, then I invite you to continue to stay, and even if it is not in Vietnamese, I invite you to stay and listen as well. Okay, one of the best way to imprint is not to think about it, not to try to translate it. Okay, just listen, even if you don't understand anything, just listen. And just so you guys know, I am working on an app. Okay, an app that will help you guys study material in English, 100% English. but it will be broken up into small little pieces so that you can imprint the material at your own time, and you won't have to worry about being too fast. Okay. That's something that I'm going to be working on. I would send out an announcement in a few days, maybe a few weeks. You guys can download it. Okay. But yeah, let's continue. Okay, all in English. Thank you, chị Kim Ánh Trần. Okay. So, wanting. What about a person who is always thinking about other people? Okay, never thinking about themselves. Is that really good? If a person is always generous, always thinking about other people and never thinking about themselves, is that actually good? How can it be good? Okay. If you completely forget yourself, then that's actually not appropriate either. Because as a human being, we have this degree and we have this polarity. There is positive, there is negative, we go up and we go down. The best is to maintain a balance of the nature of wanting. Balanced and positively oriented. You want to, if it is beneficial to other people and conveniently help us. You want to do something that is beneficial for other people and conveniently beneficial to ourselves. Okay? The idea is to want for other people, be a little generous, but at the same time, when it's convenient, when the condition is right, it benefits us as well. So it is a balance, positive and negative. Okay. So there is a concept of a positive and negative intention within our human structure. There is a intention. There is a positive and negative intention. Okay. There is a concept of, you're gonna get used to this concept of our inner being. It is the concept of intention. Intention. The intention, everything in this life, when we examine it, in the process of a person do something, whether it is beneficial or not beneficial, it is only an intention. Okay? It is only an intention. So I wanted to share with you an important concept. Before we talk about that, there is a there is a question of benefiting other people, and when it is convenient to benefit ourselves, but if it hurts another group, what do you call that? No, that's hurting other people. Okay, so what we don't want to hurt other people, we are trying to benefit other people. All people, not just a little bit of people. Okay, all people. To benefit people, all people, not just a group of people. So intention, back to intention. Has anybody here ever set an intention? Set an intention, and you always find it to be very convenient and favorable. Very favorable. But there are times you set an intent to do something and you don't find the situation to be favorable. So how can we explain that? Why is it that sometimes we set an intention and we find favorable condition in achieving it, and other time when we set an intention of doing something and we find things to be unfavorable? And so the wise people have taught us that everything in this life begins with just the intention, and how that intention is set, it will decide everything else. And so if we have a intention that is positive when we do anything, a positive intention when we do anything, then that action or that intention will simply reap a positive fruit, a desirable outcome. Okay? And so they advise us that whenever you set an intention, set with the positive intention before you begin. Remember, when you set an intention to do anything, always begin with setting a positive intention before you begin. To begin anything, any project, begin with a positive intention. What does that mean? What does it mean? There are times when we want to do something, and if our intention, when you examine that intention, if it is an intention that is negative, then what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? We stop. Don't hurry to do it yet. Don't hurry to do it. Doesn't mean you don't do it, but don't hurry to do it. It is only when your intention gets changed into when your negative intention is changed into a positive intention, then you can begin doing that. And so the process of changing that, and we'll have formula to do that later, we'll show you. But if you begin any intention, if it is the intention that is not yet positive, then don't do it just yet. Just wait. Stop temporarily, momentarily, until it becomes positive, then you can start initiate. With that awareness, if you have that awareness, that will help our journey in life from now on to be very simple. It will be favorable, advantageous. And so there is a saying, everything begins with an intention. In fact, everything is nothing but an intention. How do you distinguish between positive and negative intention? We'll talk that in a little bit later. You begin with this awareness that from now on, before you set yourself to do anything, you start with an intention. And if that intention is negative, then you temporarily stop. Don't hurry to do it yet. Don't hurry to do it yet. If you know that we are negative and we cannot stop, if you cannot stop the negative intention because you don't have an awareness yet, but now you have an awareness that there's negative and positive. Because a negative intention, you will reap a negative outcome. You understand that in the next few days. It is part of a principle. If you initiate an intention that is negative, then it will simply reap a negative fruit. But if you set an intention that is positive, on the foundation of balance and positively oriented, then that intention, that positive intention, you will be able to reap the fruit that is desirable outcome. Begin with that awareness, and then we'll explain that in the subsequent days. Because this is very important. This is important. In the next few days, we cannot come back. What is positive and negative, we'll talk about that later. Okay, we'll explain that. But here, don't get confused. Have this awareness that everything you do in this life, from now on in the future, it is nothing but an intention. Everything is just an intention. Whether we succeed or not, it depends on that intention. Got that? Do you get that? Everything that we do in this life, whether we succeed or fail, it is nothing but an intention. That's it. We're going to stop right there. Then you have the awareness that an intention that is positive, then you will give the result that is positive. But if it is a negative intention, then you will get an outcome that is undesirable. And so in summary, it is nothing but an intention. All of life is boiled down to an intention. And fortunate for us, we are taught by the wise men. Our master was taught this idea. He doesn't have to think about it so great because it's so clear. Anything positive will lead us to positivity. Anything negative will give us negativity. we'll understand the practicality of it in a little bit when you understand human nature. You will understand that it relates to our nature of wanting. When we set an intention to do something and it initiate with benefiting us first and then benefit other people, then that is a negative intention. It is only when you can shift that you begin with the benefiting other people first, then if convenient benefit us, then that is a positive intention. It's our master, when talking about his life when he was young. When our master was young, he has a certain intention of helping people, but the process of helping people did not bear desirable fruit, because we want to escape from poverty, difficulties in life, and we want a better life. And so we help people. But in the intention, is it not begin with ourselves first? Like some people get married with the desire of wanting to have a happy marriage for themselves, and so that they marry a certain man or woman. When you look at on the surface, it's very normal, but deep within, it begins with an intention that is negative, benefiting themselves first. It begins with helping ourselves first, and so we may care for our husband or our children with the intention of that they will treat us well. When it comes to causality, then we understand that however we treat other people, they will treat us the same, right? But that is not true when it comes to intention. If the intention begin as negative, then it will activate all the different direction. The condition, the fruit will actually turn to the negative direction, because some people can dedicate their entire life to help other people, help their family, help their parents. They help everybody else, but their life gets worse and worse over time. Do you get that? A person can help other people, but their life will get worse and worse. And so our master, there was a time that he was attached. Before the age of 20, he had that intention. But at age 20 and beyond, he was able to shift his intention. After later on, the sages have taught him that he has already changed the intention, therefore his life has changed. That is because of the benefiting other people. Then if convenient, then help us. We don't completely let go of our own need and benefit. If anybody only care about benefiting other people and never think about themselves, that's not appropriate either. But benefiting other people, and if convenient, benefit us, then just slowly our life will change. It will open our mind, our wisdom, and our relationship with people will get better. And then slowly over time, it will change. It's not about that you have to benefit other people first. We're not saying that you have to benefit other people first. That is not right. That is not appropriate. If we say you have to help other people, that's not right. Because if we say if you have to help other people, we're just using our conscious mind that you have to do this to help other people. Then we're studying, so we're trying to apply that. The saying is that help benefit other people, then if convenient, help us. And if within us, if we do not have the deep wanting to help other people, then that's still a negative intention. All of these things that we talking about, don't worry about how you can do it. Why do we have to worry about it? Here, we're upcoming subsequent days, we're going to light up the candle of mentality, the light of mentality. And then all of these things is just going to be an intention. It is. There is no concept of changing to the degree where everything that you do, you're gonna have everything that you do is gonna have a bright intention. It is a intention that is balanced and positively oriented in the subsequent days. And so, heroism, the idea of sacrificing your body for your country, for example, sacrificing. What is that about? The word sacrifice is a wonderful word. Some people ask about the word sacrifice. The Vietnamese translation of the word sacrifice has a following understanding. It is a hoping for the development of something, of life. Okay, the Vietnamese word for sacrifice is to hope for the development of something, the growth of something. Okay, to hope for the growth of something, hope for the life of something. So the word sacrifice has in the Vietnamese has a very bright origin. Okay, it's very, but over time the word sacrifice through time the generation sees losses with respect to the personal wanting. And so from then on, the word sacrifice had become darker. But our ancestors, when they were thinking about the word sacrifice, they're thinking about the future, about the growth of their children and their descendants. That they sacrifice their body to protect their country, for instance. When they are doing those things, it is a bright intention. It is very bright. It is an intention that is very bright. But subsequent generation, then they start to miss out because they lose the parent, they're losing those benefits, they're losing their loved one, and life gets worse. And so they say that our parents have sacrificed, and so the word sacrifice, we don't want to sacrifice anymore. But the word sacrifice, it is in Vietnamese, it has the root of hoping for the growth of the future. It is hoping for the development and growth of the future. But over time, the use of the word sacrifice it gets darkened. People say, "I sacrifice myself for the family." Well, yeah, you sacrifice yourself for the family. Why? Because you hope for the growth of your family that you do that. It is not a loss for us. If you truly sacrifice, then there is no loss. Do you get that? If it is real sacrifice, there is no loss to yourself because you're hoping for the growth of the future and the life of other people. Do you get the idea of the word sacrifice? And so, don't hurry. Don't hurry to how to set an intention and begin with positivity. Don't worry about how to set a positive intention. For now, just get the idea that if you set an intention and the intention is not yet positive, then don't do it yet. Wait. That's it. That's all you need to know. Stop. Awaken. Wait 6 months. Wisen up. Okay, before you do anything. Anything that you do, you start with an intention that is not negative, don't do it yet. If it's positive, then positive, then go. That's it. If it's positive, then do it. Don't worry about it. But how do we do it? Okay, one good day, one fine day, all your intention will be balanced and positively oriented. And statistically, you will have more balance and positive. From taking care of your children to working and doing business, how are we going to make it positive? How do you speed up the positivity? You cannot speed up the positivity Yeah, you can acquire and accumulate for countless lifetime, and you, through your hearing and seeing and talking and knowing, you can't really speed up. You know, already when you're thinking about a person, you feel negative. When you think about another job, you think about negative. If you want it, you have to understand the principle that is operating the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Understand our total karmic destiny. We have to understand blessings and merit. When you have understand a few more sub concept, then we can change it. But now, if we try to change our intention, we do not have enough concept for us to change our awareness just yet at this point. Okay. 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 Even studying in order to change yourself, right? It is always a intention that is not necessarily positive just yet. All of these personal development courses not necessarily positive, and that is why we experience pressure in our study. And so, if you have the intention of studying just for one person, this person, then you only acquire 1 point worth of studying. But if you study for 10,000 other people, then you will acquire 10,000 point worth of knowledge and study. Intention within your study will also decide how bright and wise your mind is going to be. Anybody who comes in here with the intention of some time one day bring this field, this topic, this inner being, creating peace and happiness and helping our families and other people to help themselves, then if it's convenient, then it helps us and we get the right condition and we'll transform for ourselves, then that intention of studying, you're going to take note differently. I said that if I've said that you people fall asleep and still transform. But if you have the intention of studying for the benefit of other people, you won't want to fall asleep. Okay? With that intention, you're not going to want to fall asleep. Our children they're going to need this material, this knowledge in 21 days. That's all we have. In those 21 days, each day is only a few hours. And one time study, you can transform the entire life and bring value to our entire family and our subsequent many generations. And to sleep, immediately our mind, our brain won't allow it to fall asleep if we have that intention. Do you get that? Okay, so we understand the nature of wanting, right? Okay, so we already understand. If we all can orient, or if we can manage the wanting and imagination of human being, then you think you can, by managing wanting and imagination, do you think we can manage causality? Think about it. If you can manage wanting and imagination according to this point of view, then do you think that we can manage cause, condition, and outcome of life? If we can manage wanting and imagination, we won't answer your question, but just think about it. We will discover in the next few days. Right now we're just exploring. We're looking for the root cause of human life from the perspective of religion and spirituality. Okay? We need to start having a certain inquiry in order to explore deeply. We don't hurry to answer just yet. Just think about it. If we can manage the wanting and imagination, then can we manage the cause, condition, and the outcome of life? Okay, we're going to go a little bit deeper. The next nature is a nature of temperament. Okay, temperament. Temperament. If it is negatively oriented, then it is. Do you remember what this one is? Let me check. Anger. Okay, if your temperament is anger, it is negative. And if it is positive, what is the positive orientation of temperament? Okay, it is satisfaction. Okay. Okay. A person's temperament is satisfaction with positivity. Okay. The nature of temperament has positive and negative. If it is extreme anger, then if it is extreme negative, then we have anger. And as it go up, extreme positive, it is a state of being satisfied, or the nature of satisfaction. And so there are times in our life, there are times when we are really angry. And then there are times that we're very satisfied, right? Where does it come from? Where does anger and satisfaction come from? Where does anger and satisfaction come from? Is it not because of wanting and imagination? If it matches our wanting and imagination, then we are very satisfied. Right? I usually use this example. Let's say we have a wanting and imagination in a negative sense, wanting and imagination about eating in a negative direction. Okay, at noon, our master usually get hungry. He goes home to eat for lunch. Okay, and so we are imagining. Okay, and our wife has taught us had made food for us at lunch, and so we would imagine that our wife would cook the lunch. We're imagining about food, imagining about eating, right? A man goes home for food, and it is natural that he would desire, want, and imagine food. That's very normal. We're just hungry, and so we want, and we only want for ourselves, right? We want for ourselves. I come home and for food, and so I eat. And so when our master, he comes home, he goes home, and he doesn't know why, but there's no food on the table. His wife has not cooked the food, and so he continued to imagine. There's after 1 o'clock or something, he has to have work to do, and so he imagined that he has to have food. And so at that moment, do you think that very simple to go negative in our inner state with respect to our temperament? Temperament, it is now angry. It is a form of anger when we go negative. But in the same situation, on that day, our master has nothing to do, and then at lunch, and his wife say that today, wife and children's gonna go somewhere. You feed yourself, find your own food. Okay, and she let him know in advance, and so he agreed. And if he agreed with it, then he closes his wanting of his wife cooking for him, right? He closes the wanting of having food cooked by his wife, right? And then that's it. And he goes home. He makes his own food. And he's still wanting to eat, right? That is wanting for himself, but he goes home and he makes his own food. And then suddenly, instead of having to make his own food, he see all of his favorite food on all the food that he wants on the table. And then there's a note on the table. His wife had said that she had made all the food that he enjoyed. And now, she write a lovely note then it exceeds his wanting and imagination, right? It has exceeded his wanting and imagination. Yeah, exceeded. And so at that moment, very satisfied. And so he gets to enjoy the lunch, the food. Satisfied. Do you get that? Positive and negativity. Everything is related to our wanting and imagination and the direction of our wanting and imagination. What about wanting of the eating for other people? Okay, this is a wanting of eating but for other people. When we're thinking about that time, we're thinking our children have to have good food. Our children have to have good food at that time. It is time for dinner, and our children have to have good food, right? Our children comes home for dinner, and there has to be food. And so we're imagining about other people, right? Imagining our children has to have food. But when we come home and we see our children have no food and they're all hungry, nothing to eat, and then what do you think? Even if we are wanting for other people, do you think the temperament can go also negative? Right? We want for other people, but we are not satisfied. We go angry. But for other people, because they really desire to help other people, because of desire to help other people, generosity, right? They want benefit for other people. But if other people threaten that need to be generous, if anybody get in the way of that desire to help other people, then you think another nature will come up. They can even switch to cruelty. They get angry and they get cruel. Do you get that? And so, how do you maintain our inner state to be balanced and positively oriented? That is an important inner state. Balanced and positively oriented. That is an important state in our inner being. And so, to benefit other people and if convenient, help us. We'll do it slowly, step by step. We'll understand it in a subsequent day. And so similarly, okay, we're just going to explain it that way. All the other ones, we just need to grasp it, and then it's very simple. Okay, after temperament, we have the nature of ignorance. Okay, ignorance. We know, and when we don't, and we don't know. Okay, knowing is cognition. Ignorance is not knowing. Okay. If we are ignorant, but if we are negative in ignorance, okay, we are very delusional. It's called delusion. Okay? When our ignorance is so negative, we become delusional. But there are times when we experience clarity, positivity, clarity, and so our nature of ignorance switches to positive clarity. The next is the nature of pride. Pride is really wonderful. Pride is to be proud. Okay, pride is to be proud. In a negative sense, when we lack pride, okay, in a negativity, lacking pride is a sense of inferiority. Inferiority. Okay? And extreme positivity is superiority. Okay? Okay? The nature of pride is just a ranges from inferiority to superiority. Confidence is somewhere in the middle, right? To be proud of something, to be confident, that's somewhere in the middle. Arrogance is an extreme positivity that actually switch over to negative. Something that is too positive can become negative. Okay? A person, have a little bit of superiority. When superiority becomes more extreme, it becomes arrogance, then that's a problem. but a little bit of pride is good. Okay, a little bit of pride is good. When you notice when people can exceed their confidence, when you exceed when you exceed the confidence, many people can actually accomplish a lot. Okay, superiority and confidence can help a person accomplish a lot. So next is the nature of inquiry. Inquiry, okay? Inquiry, to inquire, to inquire, to speculate, to question, to wonder. Okay? But the nature of inquiry, when it takes a negative degree, then you don't, then it becomes doubt. Okay? If the inquiry goes positive, it is trust. Okay? Inquiry is wanting to know, right? Wanting to know. You wonder, you question, you want to know. But if you don't really want to know anything, you just doubt everything, okay? And if you want to know and you know enough, then you become trusting. That is the nature of inquiry. Next is our nature of ethos. Ethos. Ethos is really special. Okay, ethos. The Vietnamese word act is not appropriate. Direct, the word Vietnamese act means cruelty, but here we're talking about ethos. Ethos is a human being's ability to distinguish between good and evil. So a person who has a negative of ethos is cruelty. And benevolence okay. It is simple to judge other people as benevolent or cruel, but it's different. It is often difficult to distinguish our own sense of cruelty and benevolence because it's always fluctuating, oscillating between positive and negative. Okay, cruelty and benevolence. There are times we cannot manage it. We cannot control it. Benevolence and cruelty is not difficult to distinguish, but because the nature of ethos is always fluctuating. Okay? Benevolence and cruelty, or good and evil, okay, good and evil are not difficult to distinguish. But because deep within us, in our human nature, it fluctuates between good and evil. It fluctuates between benevolence and cruelty. So sometimes it is difficult for us to govern ourselves. Sometimes because we are so benevolent to other people, yet we can be cruel to animals. Right? We can be benevolent to human beings, but you can be cruel to animals. A snake comes and a snake will injure somebody we love. Then normally, even an ant, we may not kill an ant, but we may kill an animal when it hurt a human being. Do you get that? We can have benevolence and cruelty all at the same time, depending on what subject or object that we are interacting with. Next is the nature of view. Okay, nature of view. View is point of view. Okay, view is point of view. Okay, we have a certain point of view. We have a way of looking at things. We have our own perspective and perception. What is the nature of view? It goes from obstinacy, meaning unwilling to look from other people's point of view. Okay, and accepting is willing to accept other people's point of view. Okay, wanting, temperament, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, and views. Okay. There's a student saying that we may encounter an enemy and an animal, and the animal has damaged us in some way, and instead of killing it, we can let it go. Okay. So wanting an imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting, that will determine it will determine the temperament, ignorance, pride, inquiry, ethos, and view, and it will decide how what we receive, how we express, and and the process by which cognition is formed. Okay, let's do another diagram. So, desire and imagination. Okay. Desire and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting. As a human being, when we initiate desire and imagination, when we initiate wanting and imagination, wanting and imagination, we, as a human being, we only want and imagine these 5 things: wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting. For example, when we initiate a wanting, our wanting and imagination of wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting will determine how our reception, our expression, as well as our cognition. Okay. For example, has anybody wonder why we can read a book that is relating to health and immediately we absorb a lot? Our reception is open. We like it more than another book of another subject, for example. Do you notice that? There are some people read a book on finances, and you really like it. When we learn about money, they really like it. Some people like to read about successful business people. There's one read about the great people in the world, and they really enjoy it. It's very attractive. They remember everything about all the content of the book. Right? Right? When you read a certain book that you like, you remember everything. But there are times that you read and you cannot remember anything. And so, where does that come from? Why is it that sometimes we read something, we enjoy it, we remember, and we read something, we don't remember anything?
It's because of the wanting and imagination to oriented
Yeah.
our direction. No, I mean, will guide us to what to choose, what to do.
Yeah. It is our reception.
Yeah.
Okay. Our wanting and imagination about wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting will determine what we receive and how we receive
What
it. Our reception.
yeah, what we receive. Yeah.
In other words, we will only receive anything that we have wanting and imagination for. That's another way of saying it. We will only receive anything that we have an imagination and wanting for. We have a wanting and imagination about form, which is appearance. And so some people have the wanting and imagination for the physical form as well as the arrangement of things. Okay, that is a form of things. And so those people enjoy watching, um, good-looking people, anything beautiful. Then they enjoy anything that is beautiful. Other people have anybody who has a wanting and imagination for the form of resting. Ooh, there is a form of resting. Then a certain form of resting include vacation. Okay, form of resting is a vacation, and they would like to go on vacation. Right, a person who is interested in the form of appearance, then they like to look at pretty things. But the form of resting is a form of vacation. The hotel, what kind of hotel, and then that add on to the nature of eating. Where do they like to eat? And if they like identity and fame, then they will go to famous places and express ourselves as being with famous places, and to express ourselves as somebody who has a certain lifestyle. Some people like to post up on the social media that we have traveled in certain places, and all of that is because of our wanting and imagination, that we will decide how we receive things, what we receive, and how we express ourselves, and what we make to be part of our cognition, our knowing. And so when we step into this Zoom and we don't have some wanting and imagination, then when you do not initiate any wanting and imagination, then it is difficult to receive anything. And so in the boarding classes, in the entrepreneurial leadership classes, I recommend that they close up their wanting for identity, which is fame. Okay? And so in that class, they become nobody. Their identity, they are no one. Everybody treat everybody the same. Close up the wanting for eating, because we have researched all the nutrition, the best nutrition for the entire program. At the right time to eat, you eat 6 times a day. Don't think about what to eat. At the time to eat, just eat. We've already researched the best. Close your wanting for resting. Everybody is going to be sleeping on the same type of bed. They're going to look the same. Your clothing, you're gonna wear the same clothing, all look the same. Everybody's gonna be equally beautiful, so you don't have to worry about your form. No longer need to, if no long you don't need to uh, initiate your wanting for the form of appearance, your bodily form, but you do want to open up your form for arrangement or cleanliness. Okay, open that form. You can open the wanting for the form in the form, your bodily form, in the form of health. When it comes to your wealth, well, you don't need to use the wealth of money. You can still live without the wealth of money in the class. That is our nature of wealth. As for so that you can close up the wealth of money, you don't need any money in the class. But you want to open up your wealth of talent so that you can acquire. Okay, you want and you want to imagine it, your talent and your competency. Wealth of talent, wanting an imagination about the form of your body. And so we request that you close a certain wanting and imagination and open a certain different wanting and imagination. When you go back into society, you can reopen your wanting and imagination. And so everything that we do is oriented in that direction. And so in the boarding, the 6-month boarding of the entrepreneurial class, they separate from their family, from their loved ones. It's a very special pathway. Okay, wealth, form, identity, eating, and resting. We are borrowing the human nature. We are going to let people receive unlimited knowledge. We are going to help them receive unlimited skills and talent. We're basing on this wanting and imagination. And so our master recommend that the mentors and the masters, they close up their wanting and imagination of identity. Just close up the identity. Don't be attached to being anybody. And you can let go of the wealth. A person who can let the wealth and let go of the identity and wanting and imagination for themselves, then that person will simply have the agreement and the the accompaniment of other people. Whereas people who are still wanting wealth and identity in a negative direction, and then they want them for themselves, then everything for themselves, then everything they do, they will encounter difficulties in life. We're not saying that you don't have identity or wealth, but we're saying that you want to proactively let it go. Let go of wealth and identity. Let go of the wanting and imagination for yourself. Anything that you do, if we have the support of the people, if we get the support of the agreement of the support, we get the support of the rich people and the support of the government, then we will experience simplicity in any endeavor, irregardless of which country. You can agree that whatever you do, that if the people agree with you, if the rich people support you and the government allow you, then you can agree that anything that you do, it will be simple, right? Yeah. The agreement of the people, the support of the rich people, and the permission of the government. Then I'm going to write that triangle so that we can understand that, so that you can help you anchor your desire and imagination. The people, because there's a person who shared earlier, the rich people, about I'm gonna, because we have a student who shared about their finances, and so I want to share this so that in your um, in your journey you will get the right concept, so that your journey would be simple. The people, the rich, the government. Okay, so your journey won't be a waste. This is called the power trio. The power trio. These are the three groups that has a power over everything that you do. Anything that will hurt the people or the rich or the government, then those, when you harm those three group of people, you can't do it. Irregardless of what endeavor you do, anything that's good for the people, beneficial to the rich, and then good for the government, then you will, anything that you do, you will succeed. So how do you reorient your wanting and imagination? How we initiate the wanting and imagination that align with the power trio? That is, if you do anything, that we can get the agreement of the people. Right? The people agree with you. And simply your friends, right? In your community, in general, people, the people are people around us, okay? Your friends, your family. The rich, there are different understanding. Either the rich have a lot of money, or they are people who are rich in experience, many years in the field, okay? Rich in money or rich in the experience in that field. We call those people rich. If we can get the rich to support us, okay, and the government permit, with respect to the law, if we do anything good and the government permit it, as long as we just obey the law and it is permitted, then the government will help us. Anything that we do, the people agree with, and the rich support, and the government permit it, then we can simply accomplish it. Right? Very simple.
Yeah. What,
And so
teacher?
I'm sorry?
What did you say about the power of what?
The power trio. I'll write the word for you.
Trio.
Tam giác giới ha. Power trio. These are the three group of powerful people. Power trio. If you do anything that the people will agree with, you need to be able, in order to get the people to agree with you, then you will, if you can let go of your imagination and desire and wanting for yourself. Okay? I'm going to use the word let go. Let go personal let go of personal wanting imagination. What does that mean? It means that whatever we do it for the benefit of the society, of the organization, of our family, for ourselves together. Okay? There is a priority that is, everybody, we have the 4 survival motivation, which is the society, our organization, our family, and ourselves. But because of the benefit of society or country, we do that first. We let go of our personal wanting and imagination, meaning we prioritize the benefit of other people over the benefit of ourselves. But doesn't mean that we'll harm our own benefit. Okay, we allow ourselves to place the priority of other people over ourselves without diminishing our own benefit. So the intention that benefit other people and conveniently benefit ourselves. With that, you can let go of the personal wanting and imagination. Okay, we get that up to here. The rich, they want the most is money. That's why they're rich. Okay, they really honor their money. They really appreciate their wealth, so they know how to use money. That's how they become rich. And so when we encounter rich people, and we want to take their money, we want to take the money from the rich people. That means we have just invaded the power trio. And anything that whenever we do anything with the rich people, we encounter them, we can let go. We can let go. We can let go of wealth. So when it comes to benefit, we can either share it with them or give them the bigger portion, or help them use the money to do something, create value that they want in some way. In some way, then that person is not attached to wealth, and we can let go of wealth. Then the rich will support you. If you begin by having the support of rich people, but after a while, because of your wanting and imagination for yourself in terms of wealth, then after a while you will lose the support of the rich people. A student asked the master, without desire, how can you do anything? And the master said, desire and letting go is different. When we talk about desire for wealth, and when we have wealth, we can let it go. How can you let go if you don't already have wealth? And so, before you have wealth, you have to have desire. You have to have desire for wealth. But when you have the wealth, you have to know how to let it go. Because a person who don't have nothing, how can they let go of anything? We're talking about letting go. You have to have it before you let go. And in order to have it, you have to have the desire. And so ultimate desire is ultimate desire, but letting go of wealth is letting it go. Those are two different things. If you have no money, how can you let anything go? And when you have the wealth, then you can let go. That means you are not wanting and imagining money when you already have money. When you have no money, the rich people wouldn't say anything. It is when they support you. Let's say our parents help us, our siblings help us, or people who have money to sponsor us for business. When we don't have any money, they don't say anything. They never say anything when we don't have money, when they're trying to help us. But when we have money and we can let it go, can we let it go so that they can get the benefit? Then that is the right way to go. That is about letting go of wealth. It is not a harm to it because we don't really have anything. They help us, and then when we get that, we let go. Do you get that? When we meet somebody and we have money, we help some poor people. You want to help them before they have any money, and we keep on helping And then if they don't have any money, do you say anything? But when they have money and they want to get some more money, they want to take your money without thinking of you. Oh, then what are we gonna feel like? What are we gonna say? What are we gonna respond? We will no longer support that person, right? That person is not appropriate. And so at that point, that wanting and the imagining, we have to reorient. We have to understand that is the moment when we have to let it go right away, so that we can orient the wealth toward the people who support us. Then at that moment, you can let go of your wealth. Then you can get the continued support of rich people. Do you get that? Wanting, and the question is, if you have wanting and imagining for yourself, and how can you let go? Well, we have a wanting and imagination for yourself. We have a desire to help other people and help life. That is desire. That's wanting. We want to pass on to next generation. We want to leave a legacy to the world. We want our name to pass on. We want to give an inheritance to our family, many generations down. I am the founder of my dynasty. At that moment, is that desire? Is that wanting? Wanting and desire, yeah. And so we work on it, and then we over time we help the society, and so people give us they start to respect us and honor us, and then our identity, our fame go up. And then from then on, people start to get attached to that identity. We get attached to our wanting and imagination for ourselves, of in terms of identity. And over time, I'm the person who help other people. I'm the person who help life. And then over time, people no longer support us. We let that go. Right? Let that go. Let go of the identity, the fame. Because all of a sudden, you were doing something. At first, everybody support us, but over time, you express yourself as somebody who is wanting and desiring of fame and identity. That wanting has gone so up, then the agreement of people are no longer there. Right? And more importantly, when it respects to government, we have to let go of the identity as well. Okay, we have to, with the government, we have to let go identity. Because the trust of the people determine the power of the government. The trust of the people determine the power of the government. And so if somebody appear and they do something and they invade the identity or the credibility of the government, then the government will try to destroy them. So that when they grow too powerful, they grow too famous, then it's going to be difficult to get rid of them. Okay? Do you get this point? In this inner being field, and so we really want to study, and you start to praise this, that our master Tuan is this, master Tuan is that. Our master Tuan, and if he follows along, after a while many people support him, people say so many things, it's so excited, and over time, and if the master is attached to the identity and he doesn't know it, and this stage in Vietnamese society, we're pretty fortunate. We live in a fairly good time in society when we have a degree of freedom of speech, freedom to help other people in a positive direction, and then we have the opportunity to work and do the kind of thing that we do. Okay, are we not taking on the mission that is helping our country and helping develop our the prosperity and the happiness of the country? Macedon is talking, in the context of the Vietnamese people. But that identity, that fame, should belong to the government, right? The serving of the people and the prosperity of the country and the happiness of the people, that fame should belong to the government. Do you get that? But now, people are not going to know our ulterior, our motive. If somebody, some individual become famous and they lead people in some bad way that is harmful to the country, then everything, we have a very clear philosophy, a clear portrait. Okay, our portrait, where do we go? Everything has to be written down. Everything is clear of our purpose and the mission. Then people look in and they see it's very clear. Then they see there is a benefit to the country. And over a while, we can collaborate with the government. For example, in education, there's so many things that we can do to train the health of people. Then we can work with the government slowly, and then the identity, that fame, belongs to the government. And so at the beginning, our master say, don't put the master's faces in social media, but people bring his images or videos and images on the social media. I already said he wants to be incognito. And because if, our master, if he appears, then people will be attached to his image. And that will make it difficult for subsequent mentors and master to go out there and talk and teach. They're going to find a teacher to study who want to listen to the mentors and the master. And so we have to understand that we have a long vision to help society. This is a long road. If you elevate, some individual, idolize some individual, that is not good. If you idolize an individual, it's not good. When you go into a group and you idolize an individual, that fame is going to be harmful to the individual, because who's going to know what the motive of that individual is? What if people use the fame and harm the country? And so the government has to watch that. So people who are famous is dangerous to themselves. So they have to know how to transfer that fame, that identity to the government. Just know that there is a good time that we're experiencing. There is the government. There is the party. If we don't live in the country of Vietnam, that is not decided by the communist government. No, the party that is not subjected to any religion. Okay? We have no national religion. And how can if we don't have that kind of freedom, then how can we do this kind of work in this country? Vietnam. Okay, Vietnam. People are superstitious. There are countries where people are superstitious. But superstition will slowly disappear when we understand the inner being philosophy. When we understand our being, we no longer need to not rely on superstition. We have virtue. We have integrity. And then slowly, thanks to that, we can do this kind of work. Without that freedom that we have now, we cannot do that work. Okay, do you get that? And so we have to understand in advance so that we know that we have it, then we can let it go. Otherwise, over time, we get attached to it and it becomes difficult. That is understanding human nature. The government depends on the fame and the identity. There are people who, for example, do charitable work and they don't understand. They do a charitable work, and so they help the people really good. And people they praise that individual, and then they start to compare. They contrast. Oh, and so they wonder, why did the government not help the people, whereas a stranger, famous person comes and help the people? So what happened is that people will praise that individual and they will look down on the local government. At that moment, you have just broken the power trio, violated the power trio. Do you get that? We get it, right? And so if we understand it, then we can slowly, when we understand human nature, then you can create a lot of value for society in the long term. Right? Okay. Let's we understand it here. If we can understand it, then we can maintain the inner state of our being, so that it is always balanced and positively oriented. Next session, we will officially get close, get more deep, okay, deeper. Today, we're just gonna understand human nature on a surface level, okay. If you can understand and express it and do it, people say that's difficult. No, it's not difficult. And in subsequent days, you're gonna experience it. You're gonna have the reality of it, so you don't have to worry. This our philosophy is about receiving a reality and transmitting that reality. This is not just theoretical philosophical work. Okay. Tomorrow, I'm saying this in advance. I mean, next session, I'm gonna let you know in advance, so that so that you don't want and imagine things. And next session, we haven't asked anybody yet, any teacher yet, but maybe the master is saying the next session maybe Tajikian is gonna be sharing. But as far as the English version is concerned, Frank is gonna be, I'm just gonna do the same thing. I will interpret next session, regardless of who is going to be sharing. Maybe Master Jikin. Okay. But next session is very important. So important that in the next days, whether you understand those subsequent days or not, after next session will be determined by next session. Master Jikin is going to be the person who is really detail oriented. He will help us understand in details our philosophy, okay, so clearly, so that subsequent day when our master comes back, we go. He will share some more knowledge. Okay, so try to come back and follow the class. Okay. Hope to see you again next session next week.
Wholeheartedly thanks for your sharing, teacher.
Thank you so much, chị Thanh Vấn. Okay.
Yes.
Did you get anything out of it today? Any impression?
I don't have enough vocabulary to understand on the lessons, but I understand some things. Yes.
Okay.
And I'll try.
Yeah. Let's see if any last word from the master before we stop. So with this K36, okay, the intention is for us to have received that reality. Okay, so that it will help those who are in the Mentor 7, okay, to have that strong foundation. So our master is pushing the level and the intensity of the mentor program, especially Mentor 7, up to a new level. Okay, uh, we are actually experiencing, for the Mentor 7, they are actually learning the master level. Okay, and so in order for to be a Mentor 7, you have to have a very strong understanding and comprehension. Okay. Um,
Yes.
Yeah. So with Mentor 7, you will lose. We actually lose a lot of people because the intensity is so fast and so high that people who don't take this seriously, they will fall. They will fall off. So our master has officially ended the Mentor 7. You know, officially with Mentor 7 being the last mentor program that our master will personally share. And after that, the master will train other teachers who will train other mentors. They will take over, and then subsequent mentors who are trained by other teachers, they will still be able to receive certification in the final conference and things like that. But in the future, it'll be other teachers who will be training the mentor. But our master will end after training 10,000 mentors. Okay. So next
Yes.
session, it is very, very important. Okay, so set your schedule. Um, so yeah, okay. Hope to see you again next week. Very grateful.
Yes.
I'm honored by your
See
presence.
you.
And thank you for staying the whole session. Sometimes it can be a little fast, right? The Vietnamese word, it's just a single word, but when you translate it into English, its word have like 3 or 4 syllables.
I
So
hope after I finish the mentor 7, I can share the English inner being like you.
yeah. So yeah,
Yes.
so as I mentioned before, I'm working on an app. Okay, I'm working on an app
Yes.
um, for anybody who really wants to imprint the material. It will be broken down to small pieces. So instead of trying to grasp everything in a 2 hour session, it'll be just a short little video, 5 to 10 minutes. You can watch it, listen to it, and then do your lesson impression and realization. And you really master every little pieces, every main point. That's what I'm working on right now. Okay, and I hope you guys will jump in, take advantage of that opportunity in the subsequent day. So stay in touch. Okay, stay in touch. Make sure you join my Telegram. I will send an announcement about the app that's coming up. I think it's gonna.
I will tell for the member in my home
Mm-hmm.
271.
271.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
and they come to Telegram.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, tell
yes,
them to join the Telegram that I've been using. Okay, the House of Holistic Health Telegram, and then that way they will get the first notice when the app comes out. Okay, when the app comes out, it won't be free. Okay, you have to pay for it because it takes a lot of work and it's going to transform people's lives. And the money is going to help. It's going to go back to WIT. Okay, the money, the proceed we make, part of that is going to go back to help WIT to create more program for you guys and for other people. So it won't be a free program. Okay, it won't be free tùy tâm either. Okay, you have to pay for that. But anybody who is committed and they are willing to trade the money for a competency and that will be transformative to their life. They will use it as a teaching tool. Okay, it will help them basically accelerate their graduation toward mentorship in English. Okay, yeah, in English. Okay. Okay,
thank
so
you.
keep in touch. Okay, check your calendar and always set your calendar for this time every week. Okay? I'll talk to you
Yeah.
again.
See you next week.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.